You have spent so much time and energy and money to get to where you are. And you're going to sit at home watching Netflix? Like, that's not a... Hey everybody, this is Omar and I am finally doing this. I've been putting this off for about a year now, and I feel like ever since I graduated, I've just been getting so many signs from God to tell me to return to YouTube. You got a story to share, people want to hear it, and so just do it, you know? So I decided to make this study abroad series on my channel to talk about study abroad tips and tricks and all these different things that I've gone through to help make the study abroad experience easier and more fun for you guys. So in case you guys don't know, I got the chance to study abroad 4 times during my undergraduate studies. I did a semester in India, a semester in Brazil, a winter in Cuba, and a summer in Mexico. And I feel like each trip taught me something different, and there are things I wish I would have known before my trips, but I wanted to make this video today to share with you guys the most blunt advice about study abroad that most people don't really talk about. I think in total there's like 5 tips, but the first one is you don't have to tell everyone about your plans to study abroad. I say this because study abroad is still a foreign concept to many people, especially people who come from minority groups. Not many people are encouraged to do that. When you tell people about your plans to study abroad, you're opening the chance for them to share their opinions where they're not really welcome, and their opinions can lots of times be demoralizing and discouraging and could possibly deter you from actually pursuing study abroad. For me, I chose to go to many places that were less commonly visited by study abroad students. Like I went to India and Cuba. Like who goes there for study abroad, right? And so I know for me, I told people before I went, and that was followed by a lot of different comments from people, questioning my decision, challenging my decision about going there. And there were a few times where I thought, should I really go to India? Should I really do that? Should I just go to Spain or France like most people? But no, for me, I had a goal in mind. I had my own personal goals to go to India, so I did it. And I know now that it was my decision to tell people about that, which was not the smartest decision, because people will put things in your mind. There are good people out there, there are people who will motivate you, but there are lots of people who know about your plans and who will try to do what they can to deter you from following them. So just remember, you don't have to tell everyone about your study abroad plans before you go. And if people are in your face asking you or telling you why you didn't tell them, they're basically saying, how could you do this without discussing it with me first? It's not for everyone to know what you're doing when you're doing it. You can let people know about your plans when you are ready for them to know, not when they want you to be ready. The second piece of advice I have for you guys is to learn to be a bit more extroverted if you are an introverted person, because study abroad is not about watching Netflix and calling your friends back at home. I know people who have told me that when they studied abroad, they spent their weekends at home watching Netflix in their host family's house. And I'm thinking that is definitely a waste of your time when you're abroad, unless you're watching things that are in the language of the host country, which I'll get into in a second. You need to be out walking the streets, going to cafes, talking to locals, going to different city events, traveling to different regions in the country and outside the country. You have spent so much time and energy and money to get to where you are, and you're going to sit at home watching Netflix? Like, that's not a that's that's not okay. Um, Try, if you know that you're one of those introverted persons who are not really fond of social gatherings, talking to other people, especially, you know, try to loosen that up before you go. Try visiting different cafes in your hometown, talking to more people in your hometown to get in that groove of just being comfortable with talking to different people and going to different places. My third advice for you guys is to do whatever you can to learn the language and the culture. You are in a country, well, this applies to people who are in countries where English is not official language. That is really going to be an asset while you're there, as well as when you come back from study abroad, because people are going to want to know about that. And when you study different languages, that opens the door for many opportunities as for different jobs and just different roles in your life. So learn the language. That also leads to a deeper integration into where you're staying, and it also demonstrates appreciation. Because many people, we come from a place where English is, the global language, and we always feel that when we go abroad or when we go to different places, people should accommodate us by speaking our language. But when you reverse that, you're demonstrating creativity, because many Americans don't study foreign languages. So study the language while you're there, or even before you go, just so you can have a heads up. Also mention culture too, because understanding the culture also facilitates integration into wherever you're going to. So for me, the way that I learn about different cultures is by surrounding myself with native people. I'm not one of those study abroad students who immerses himself with other exchange students. I love to meet different local people. I love to get involved in the city's activities, whether it be going to different festivals or different celebrations. I always do that when I go abroad. I always make sure I have several ways of interacting with local people so I can learn about their culture, their heritage, and just their local traditions. I think this is number 4. When you're abroad, make sure you are documenting what you are doing. It's easy for us to just snap a picture and see it a year later and think, oh, wow, I was happy in this moment. But when you're taking videos of yourself, writing what you're doing down in a journal, it really takes you back to what you were actually feeling in that moment. And I think that's a lot more, it shows a lot more deeper connection with what you were feeling when you were doing whatever it is, whether it be skydiving down somewhere in Switzerland or just anywhere, whatever you're doing. Make sure that you document what you're doing, because that will really take you back to the moment that you were doing it, and it results in a lot of nostalgia for me, because I document what I'm doing. I used to do YouTube back in the day, and I used to make vlogs, and when I rewatch those videos, it reminds me of just how happy I was, and it gives me greater connection to what I was feeling, much more than what a picture could. My last piece of advice for you guys is to beware of re-entry shock. When you're studying abroad for at least a semester or even up to a year, oh, I just broke my pen. When you're studying abroad for, I guess, I want to say from 6 months to a year, you are going to be immersed in a new country, in a new culture, and those cultural aspects are going to really be integrated into your life, whether it be unconsciously or consciously. I was in India for 6 months, and I got used to the Indian head shake. Oh, God. Sorry, a bug flew in my ear. And going back home, I was still doing that without noticing. So there's different cultural aspects that will just stick with you, and you won't even notice it until you get back home and you're doing them and you're demonstrating them to your friends or family, and they're asking you, why are you shaking your head like this? Or why do you talk with this accent? Or like, why do you do this and that? A re-entry shock is real, especially when you are in a place where it really makes you question and challenge um, your own culture, your own heritage culture. For me, I was really accustomed to the ways abroad, and I was at times questioning, well, why do we do this here back in America? Or like, why things, I understood that lots of things made sense, and that there doesn't have to be one right way to live or to think or to behave for it to be considered right. And I brought that back with me back home, and it just made me a lot more, I want to say, well-rounded individual, a more integrated into the world, because not only now am I understanding the world from my heritage culture, I'm also understanding it from a perspective from a Brazilian or a Cuban. Be aware of re-entry shock and don't fight it. It's a part of the experience. just be aware of it. Be aware that it exists, and it will change your perspective. It will change your thinking, and it will change just your lifestyle overall. I do plan to make this a series, maybe 5 to 10 episodes, talking about just different advice and stuff. Just whatever you guys want to know about study abroad, because there's a lot of things that I could share about my experiences and go into detail. I'm sorry if I'm sweating. It's a heat wave happening over here. Um, but yeah, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be making another one and probably posting it about a week from now. So stay tuned for that. If you guys like content about study abroad, traveling, culture, languages, make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video. Thank you.